Hi friends, my name is Bhavya Mangla. I have come again with a very interesting topic that is related to what are the challenges that industry faces with respect to new product development process. You know, it's a series going on and this is the last episode of that series. The first one was with respect to the overall new product development process. Then he talked about the 5 different phases of APQP. Then followed by the last episode was with respect to the engineering change note process. And in this, I'm going to talk in detail about what are the possible challenges that industry faces with respect to new development process, what is its impact on the organization as well as the customer, what are the possible reasons for that, and what can be done to avoid that. You know, problems are part of the process, they are bound to happen. But what is important is what we are doing with respect to that. Are we solving that problem or we are just continuing with that problem? And we all know that by continuing with that problem is not going to solve the problem, but that problem is going to come up again and again. So even though in industry there are so many problems, but I'll be talking about key 9 problems. The first one is with respect to ineffective use of cross-functional team approach. So what happens in this case? In such cases, the customer requirements are not identified effectively. There is always a possibility that some very important point is missed, which the organization realizes at a later part of new product development process, which also leads to customer dissatisfaction. What are the possible reasons why it happens? Maybe because the CFT is not regularly meeting. Another thing could be that CFT may be meeting, but they are not recording everything in a very systematic manner. And even if they are recording, they are not reviewing it, that what is the pending point and what needs to be done. That can be the reason. So what can be done by an industry with respect to that? So first of all, there should be a proper timeline for doing the meeting. Secondly, the cross-functional team should record each and everything what they are doing. Thirdly, they should regularly meet and ensure that whatever are the pending points, they should resolve, and if not, they should escalate to the top management or maybe to the customer if needed, so that they are being taken care of. The second key issue that industry faces is with respect to the competency of the cross-functional team. The CFT is there, but whether they are competent or not. So what's the impact? Certainly, they will not be able to understand the voice of the customer in terms of customer requirement and customer specific requirement. They will not be able to understand the importance of certain things which may become important later on. Like say, for example, there may be some technology in the beginning which they may not understand, but at later part of the new product development process they may realize that they need to invest on a new machine which will increase the overall cost of the project just because of the competency of people. What can be the possible reason why it happens? The first reason is maybe sometimes there is some sort of a groupism in the company, that some people want only certain people whom they are more comfortable. So that's a main criteria rather than the competence. At times, the top management is not regularly interacting with the CFT, so they are also not aware that what kind of CFT is working. Many times, customer is also not interacting with the CFT, so they are also not aware that what kind of competency that CFT is having. And at times, it also happens that organization does not have a formal system of competency management wherein they can identify that what is a gap between the required competency and actual competency and what can be done about that. So what organization can do? First of all, with respect to competency, organization can identify the gap and take actions so that they can give training or some other kind of exposure so that people get upgraded with respect to that. Maybe top management can be involved in this entire process of formation of CFT so that only the right kind of people with right attitude and background are there who can work together to achieve the overall target. The third key issue with respect to industry is with respect to not reviewing the APQP timing plan and other related things in different phases. So what's the impact? The first impact is that the project can get delayed. Secondly, the cost of the project that can go high. Thirdly, the productivity, the targets that has been set, they may not be met because of this delay. What can be the possible reasons why it is happening? So one important reason is that there is no planning, that when that CFT has to meet, say every week, every fortnight, every month, then even if they are meeting, there is no follow-up to that what has been discussed there, what has been minuted there, and whether actually it is being followed or ensure that that is being taken care or not. Thirdly, in case there is some discrepancy or there is some gap that is being observed, then nobody is trying to find a solution or that, or nobody is even escalating to the top management. And another reason could be the involvement of top management, that management is also not very keen to see that what is happening, whether the project is going on time, and there is no proper input that is going to the management review also. So what can be done with respect to that? So first of all, there should be a proper plan that should be made with respect to meeting of the CFT. Secondly, there should be a proper recording of each and everything. Thirdly, all these points should be an input to the management review so that top management is aware that for all these different projects, what is the present status, where they need to give some attention or not. The fourth one is with respect to the involvement of top management. Although it's a very difficult task, that in case the top management is not involved or serious about the new product development process, what can be done? What can be the impact? Obviously, whatever targets with respect to quality, cost and productivity, there is a very high possibility that they will never be met. There is always a possibility that the project will get delayed, and there are so many other things which can happen if the top management is not serious about it. What are the possible reasons for that? Maybe because top management thinks that it's not their job. Secondly, top management is too much optimistic about the new product development team that they will take care about that. Thirdly, they may think that their involvement is not going to help in any way. So what can be done with respect to that? Maybe regularly some escalations can be done to them so that the kind of problems that new product development team is facing, that can be communicated to them. Maybe in a very intelligent way, customer can be roped in so that customer can engage top management, so that the top management is getting involved in the new product development process to see that whether everything is going right or wrong. So that can be another possible way that can be done, even though it's difficult about that. The next and the fifth one is with respect to systematic review and identification of voice of the customers in the form of customer requirement and customer specific requirement, technical requirement and system related requirement. What can be the impact? The first impact is that there will be many new things that are going to unravel during course of new product development process, maybe in the second phase, third phase, fourth phase or fifth phase, which should have been identified in the first phase. That may result in the increase in the overall cost of the project, or maybe delay in the project also. What is the general reason for that? As I discussed earlier, the first one is with respect to the CFT approach. If the CFT is not working effectively, that can be one of the reasons. If the top management is not serious and regularly involved in the overall overseeing the new product development process, that can be another reason. Or maybe the competency of the CFT team, that can be one more reason that why the voice of the customer is not being understood effectively. So what can be done about that? First of all, the involvement of top management is must to ensure that voice of customer is heard of. Secondly, the CFT should work seriously. CFT should meet periodically to look into that where the different projects are going on, whether they are as per timeline or not, whatever gaps are there, whatever delays are there, whether they are being taken care or not. So all those things can be taken care by the CFT. That can help in some way with respect to voice of the customer. The sixth one is with respect to target setting of quality, cost and productivity, that either they are not being set in the beginning, and even if they are being set, they're never being reviewed once the project is completed. What can be the impact? As I stated earlier, the quality PPM will always be very high. Say for example, in the beginning, the target given is 100 ppm, but in actually it is going up to say 5000 ppm. The cost, say for example, it is, say assume it is 100, and actually it is coming out to 110. So it's a total loss to the company. When we talk about productivity, whatever volume is there, whatever delivery performance is, they will never be met. So these are the possible impacts. What are the reasons for that? Maybe the first reason is, in general, the organization does not feel the importance that they should have some target with respect to quality, cost and productivity. Secondly, even if the target is being given, there is no one who is bothered or verifying that at different stages of the new product development process, and finally when the mass production is starting, what actually is the actual quality, cost and productivity there. Thirdly, maybe in the management review, nobody is demanding to see that whether this project or the different projects which are going on, whether they are working as per the timeline or they are achieving the targets or not. So what can be done with respect to that? So first of all, the single most important thing is initially to set a target about quality, cost and productivity in the beginning. Then secondly, at the time of handover, the handover should happen only when these targets are being achieved and not before that. And in between, regular feedback should go to the top management, and it should be escalated wherever it is being felt that these targets may not be met, so that the top management can come and they can see that what needs to be done with respect to that. The seventh is with respect to the pre-launch stage. So it is generally expected that in pre-launch stage, whatever machinery, manpower, tooling, fixtures that are being used, they are actual fixtures, actual machinery, actual people who are going to work in the mass production also. But at times it happens that they are quite different from what needs to be used in the mass production. What is the impact on that? Obviously, there will be a lot of variation in the process. It will lead to a problem in the quality, it will delay the delivery performance, and it will overall impact the customer satisfaction level. What is the reason for that? The first reason in this particular case is that organization does not feel that they should have everything ready and they should do the mass production trial with the same kind of equipment what is required. Secondly, because the CFT approach was not effective, there was a delay in the project that can result in that at the time of pre-launch stage also we are not ready with the same kind of equipment which we should actually have. And thirdly, there could be a possibility that even customer is not that much interested to ensure and see that what kind of equipment toolings are being used at the time of pre-launch stage. What can be done with respect to that? The first and the single most important thing is to delay the pre-launch stage, so that only we should do the mass production or we should do all those trials only when we are ready with that. Secondly, we can talk to the customer, get some waiver about that. Thirdly, even if we have to do the pre-launch stage with that different set of machinery and equipment, maybe even after the handover, the organization, that the CFT or the new product development should continue to focus till the time everything is being stabilized. So that can be another thing that can be done. The eighth important issue that industry faces is with respect to the customer approval and waiver in case of 5M change, like man, machine, material, method, measurement and environment. So it is in general observed that organization is skeptical about sharing all those things with the customer. So what happens? There are some surprises. All of a sudden some rejection will come and nobody will know that why it has come. And when the customer will come to know, it will lead to dissatisfaction of the customer. It will lead to sort of a disagreement with the organization. They will not have comfort or trust in the organization with respect to that. What is the reason for that? The first reason is that organization is not confident that whether the customer is going to accept their proposal or not. Secondly, another reason could be that organization may be thinking that in case there is some cost saving in that, they need to share it with the customer. That can be another reason. Thirdly, organization may not even think that it's important to communicate to the customer about any 5M change. So what can be done with respect to that? So first of all, there should be a good relationship between organization and customer so that organization feel comfortable enough to share any variation in their 5M with the customer. And this thing is not only applicable between organization and customer, but is also applicable in case of supplier also. Then second thing could be with respect to ensuring that whenever any change is happening, at least top management should be communicated so that at least they are aware about any 5M change and what can be the possible repercussion that can happen later on. The ninth problem and the last problem that I'm going to share is with respect to identification and recording of lesson learned. Things gone right, things gone wrong. Like this episode is also about the lesson learned with respect to all this series that is going on at the moment. What is the impact if lesson learned are not recorded and implemented or reviewed in the new projects? The same kind of problems will repeat again. There can be a possibility that customer will feel dissatisfied that why it is happening, that even though the same kind of problem was there and the similar kind of problem is coming again and again. overall the trust between the customer and the organization that is going to tarnish with respect to that. What is the reason with respect to that? Why it happens? First of all, in general, the organization does not have a concept of recording the lesson learned. Secondly, even if there is a system of recording it, there is no system of handing over this lesson learned at the time of closure of the project. Thirdly, there is no system of reviewing those lessons learned at the time of next development. What can be done with respect to that? So first of all, it can be made mandatory that after every phase of APQP, whatever lesson learned are there, they will be recorded and communicated to the CFT as well as the top management. Once the project is over, lesson learned should be mandatory, and unless and until the lesson learned are submitted, project cannot be handed over to the mass production. Thirdly, whenever a new project is started, unless and until we go through all the lesson learned, the new project will never start. So broadly, if you see, I talked about 9 key problems, even though there can be many more. The first one was with respect to the involvement of cross-functional team. Second one was with respect to the competency of the cross-functional team. The third one was with respect to delay in reviewing over the timing plan in different phases. The fourth one is with respect to the involvement of top management in the new product development process. The fifth one is with respect to voice of the customer, that how effectively we are understanding the voice of the customer. The sixth one is with respect to setting the targets for quality, cost and productivity, and then reviewing it once the project is completed. The next one is not ready with the machinery, manpower, tooling at the time of pre-launch stage. After that, I talked about the customer approval or waiver in case there is a 5M change. And the last one is about not recording the lesson learned, things gone right and things gone wrong. Well, my friends, this is the last episode of this particular series of 8. The next video will be of something different that you'll come to know very soon about that. Well, in case you want to understand a little bit more about this video, so there is a link below. Once you click that, you will find a blog and you will get this information in much more detail. And if you think that this video is relevant for you and useful for you, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and you will regularly get updates with respect to that. And I'm regularly getting a lot of feedbacks from your side, a lot of suggestions, and these are extremely useful for improving and getting back to you with some improved version. So please continue that. Thank you.